Hi, my name's Dane and I'm a very grateful recovering addict. I was born and raised in Barnsley in a little village called Cuddiff. My mum, hard working, she got divorced from my dad when I was about 2 when he moved to Sheffield. And I had no real major trauma in my life whatsoever at a young age. You know, I got everything I wanted. My mum provided for me, my dad did too. And I've also got one sister. I had a pretty good, normal childhood. I went out on my bikes, you know, built dens, this, that and other. It weren't until I reached secondary school where all problems started. You know, bottles of cider, smoking weed. Before then I was a polite, nice young lad, never done out wrong in my life, but as soon as I touched these substances, all that went out the window. Attitudes changed, I stopped going to school, I stopped playing football and rugby, which I was quite good at, I was athletic at it. And behaviour soon started to change. You know, I was getting kicked out of classes, getting kicked out of school, excluded, and then eventually I got expelled. I put my mum through some grief, some aggro. You know, and all at this time I was hiding this disease of alcoholism and addiction from her. She didn't know the better. What did I do then? I started doing even dafter things. I weren't just pinching off my mum. I weren't just pinching off my sister. I was going out and I was robbing stuff and then I was selling it. You know, it progressed quite dramatically and quite quickly as well, if I'm honest. You know, to a point where I was getting in trouble with law, getting arrested all the time. Every week at least, getting arrested, not a care in the world, not even thinking about what this was doing to my mum, police coming to her home, what she works hard to pay for. You know, to me it was just all fun and games. And it just continually progressed. Eventually, I think I was 19, I was in jail then. I was doing my first sentence for burglary. And then obviously I went back to my old ways again. So, anyway, I'm on my second sentence now. This was a proper sentence, I went just on remand, I'd been sentenced. You know, so I had to go in and mingle with them, I had to fit in. And then I did my first sentence and I got out. I think I might have been 22 at this point. So, anyway, what did I do? I went back to my mum, doing the same old stuff, went out robbing, getting done. And then I got community hours again. And while I went at community hours, they offered me like a little kind of lifeline. It says, we can send you for your forklift certificates doing. You can get your reach and counterbalance, and it comes off your hours. And I thought, bonus. So anyway, I went and did these, and I got my forklift certificates, but I still had some hours left to do. So I would do, you know, grass cutting and whatever, making food for elderly, this, that and other, working the rest of these hours down. And I remember this one night, I went to pinfall down Cuddiff at the club, and I was with a few of my mates and a couple of family members. Ketamine had just become rife on the scene. Ketamine and MCAT, and these are them days where I was just sniffing constantly just because it was fun. Thought fun in it. You know, we didn't know what damage it was going to do to us bladders and long run, etc, etc. And we went to pinfall this one night and I was absolutely off my box. Police have been called because we're all causing carnage. This is his local pub, bear in mind. And I'm stumbling all over. And this one police officer's trying to search me, and I stumble and he thinks I'm trying to do a runner. So the rugby tackle me took through it and they throw me back at riot van. And on the way to police station, I stick nut on him and I get locked up. And I'm back at court again for that, before you know it. I've nearly worked these hours off, but before I could work them off, I've done this. Next thing you know, I'm back in jail again for another 6 months. And I might have been 24 at this point. I remember my sister saying she's pregnant. And if I want to do it better, I've got to sort my son out when I get out. And I got out and I thought, I can't keep doing it. I want to be an uncle. I want to be part of Bairn's life. I don't want this Bairn to grow up seeing an uncle like that. So I thought to myself, I need to get a job. And I thought to myself, what can I do? And it clicked. I've got my forklifts. So I've got my forklifts, I know, I'll get a job in forklifts. I've got no experience, but I'll do it. So I got a job in a warehouse. It was called Buy It Direct up Dodder. Best place I've ever worked, and first proper job I've ever been able to hold down. I got a job there. The drug addiction stayed with me, even though I'd stopped committing crimes and going to jail and doing stuff wrong. The addiction always stuck. Yeah, I'd sort of missing out, I'd stopped going to jail, I went on straight and narrow path, but I was working just to feed me addictions. I weren't robbing stuff, I was earning it, but I was just a functioning addict. I was a functioning alcoholic and a functioning addict. But it progressed from start of COVID up until me getting clean. Because obviously, as you know, we all got furloughed and put in lockdown. As an addict, what else are you going to do in that house when you can't go out and do no, apart from sit there, drink your sense silly, and just get off your head? What else are you going to do? You got to a point then where I was waking up and I needed something to function. I needed a little drink, I needed a little sniff or whatever it was, just to get out of the house. And I'd never really done that. I'd never done that. I always did it when I finished work. And I was doing it before work. And then I was doing it in between work. You know, my dinner break, I was having a sly can. And over this time frame, I just got so low, the person that I was becoming. I had nothing to show for my money. You know, I kept having arguments with my mum. We kept blocking each other because of me. I was the problem once again. I weren't going to jail. I weren't committing crimes, but I was killing myself slowly and slowly and slowly. And I didn't see that. So yeah, and there was this one, I remember I was looking in the mirror. I'd been up for about 3 days and I was looking in the bathroom mirror and I just saw red. I punched and kicked my shower screen to absolute bits, to the point where I cut bottom of my foot there, glass in my chest there where I've still got scar, cut all my elbow, and I had to go to hospital. And I rang my mum and I said, listen, I've smashed my shower to bits. And that was it. I gave me flat up and I went back to live with my mum. And I says, I'm ready. And she's like, what do you mean you're ready? What are you ready for? And I says, I'm ready for rehab. I'm ready to do it. I've done my time on it all. My head's shot to bits. I can't do it no more. So she went, right then, let's go for it. So I rang Recovery Steps. They put me through to Humankind here, building at Baccaras. And they got me up road to rehab. I attended groups, you know, I did everything that they asked me to. I did a drug diary, I cut down on my drink and drugs. And eventually I gave my job up. I signed on sick because I was too ill to work, basically. Couldn't look after me son. So yeah, eventually I got my date for rehab and I went in on 1st of Feb 2022. Or was it 2023? It was 2023. I went in 1st of Feb, 10-day detox, and I went to Ark House in Scarborough for 3 months. And I'm glad I did because I learnt a hell of a lot. And the most of me learning that is what's kept me clean today, because I got educated. So I did 3 months and then I got out. And then I come into UB for 3 months after that. Met some brilliant people who I still talk to this day. Got better friendships with them than anybody I ever met taking drink and drugs. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I grew up with a lot of people that take drink and drugs and I have respect for them because, you know, you grew up with them. And the people that I've met in that hub, I've got more respect for than anybody I've ever met through drugs. You know, good people. People I wouldn't have considered talking to before, you know. And we support each other. So I went in there for 3 months. And then I decided that time to go back to work. You know, I've been on sick a year now. I need a bit of normality back in my life, so I went back to work 4 days a week to start with, and I stayed going in hub every Friday, and this went on for about 4 months, 5 months, give or take, might have been 6, and then decided that I'm ready for full time, so I went back full time, and I've been back at work now nearly a year. So, and with money I've earned, I'm also saving. I'm putting £150–60 a week away for an holiday and other things. You know, I've bought an all new wardrobe. I've kept missing out with tattoos that I've always wanted that I couldn't afford. Piercings, what I've always wanted, what I couldn't afford. You know, and the niece that I was on about through my sister, I spoil her every chance I get, and I'm spending quality time with her. So, yeah, she's a brilliant little lass, and I'm glad I stopped going to jail when my sister said, because I wouldn't have been here now. I'd have still been doing the same old stuff, and she'd have been walking past Meat Street saying, that's him, innit, mum? You know? So, life's on the up. And I couldn't have got where I am today without recovery steps and humankind. You know, I've got a good relationship with my mum that I've never had before. You know, when I ring her now, I'm ringing her to talk to her. I'm not ringing her to say, Mum, have you got any money? You know, life's just better. Life's clear. You know, it's not a blur. I can remember everything. I know where my phone and my keys are and my wallet. You know, I ain't got money troubles. And yeah, I'm 16 months and 5 days today, which I'd never done that in my whole time. Up until you started using drinking, of course. You know, first 11 years of my life, that's the longest I've been sober. But this is the longest I've been clean and sober since I was 11-year-old. And I couldn't have done that without recovery steps and humankind.